Okay, good evening, and it's my pleasure to come here towards the back end of the 00 series. I think this is the number 7 series. So it's been 7 years since we launched it, and it's been exciting. Every year we change a little bit, and we try to improve and get the feedback. And I'm sorry that I wasn't around to get involved really this year. Going around the world and trying to grab some knowledge, because if we earn knowledge, then we can pass it on downstream. So I'm on a sabbatical leave, working on some big projects, and that's why I did not get involved this year. But I hope that you have enjoyed it so far. We try to make it customer-centric in terms of the theme, in terms of the what you can get out of it, and also we try to give it the credibility by lining up some speakers and some practitioners who can talk about reality, if you like. So hopefully we will continue the series, for next year and beyond. But I think for today, because it's kind of the finale, putting things together, what does the totality of excellence really mean? And I know that this session is entitled World-Class Operations. And I kind of hesitated to follow the line that Simi has just shared with you a few minutes ago, because operations in the traditional sense is really the touch and feel aspects of product, operations, processes, whatever. But as we approach, if you like, a society, a business society, which is driven by knowledge-based contributions, and the touch and feel becomes less and less, because we are moving more towards a people-oriented or people-centric value chain. What does world-class operations mean, you see? And one thing that gets underestimated time and time again is the importance of this fuel called values, corporate values. There are slogans, there are statements. Some of them, they rhyme like poetry, but we don't really make much out of them. And I think that now we are at a stage where we really need to quantify, if you like, the value of values, corporate values, in driving excellence, in driving business performance. And because they are the lifeblood of the business. If you talk about knowledge-based organizations, talent management, and people-driven value chains. Therefore, the common, if you like, currency between people and what brings them to work every day is really the principles and the guiding philosophy that they espouse to, and they want to embrace, and that's where commitment gets started. So, what I want to do tonight is take you through this concept of realizing excellence, performance excellence, through a process of making values count. So I will share with you a model which, if implemented properly, can create great impact. At least that will be the conceptual part of my presentation. And then I will show you some of the work that I have done with an organization in Dubai. It's a very large organization, actually, government organization called Dubai Holding, so that you can see how we can move from the intangible to the tangible, how we can make, if you like, the difficult simple in terms of structure, in terms of evaluation, and in terms of really management. And then I will finish off with a couple of thoughts. And then if you have any questions and answers, I'll be quite happy to answer them. So we are moving, if you like, from the hard to the soft in a way. Knowledge-based economy, knowledge-based contributions mean that, the asset is no longer physical, is no longer capital in the old sense, but it's the people, it's the talent, is really the intellectual side of organization. It's the information that they hold about customers and the market, and it's the infrastructural kind of asset that they have in terms of IT and the systems that they have. So I'm going back 5,000 BC, whatever. Lao Tzu said, the softest thing in the world overcome the hardest things in the world. I think that has always been the case, but we tended really to follow schools of thought, you see. In the era of automations, mass automations, a lot of people abandoned the importance of people, and then they embraced a philosophy that says, automate and you get the benefits and you drive. And then we moved into an era of advanced technologies, intelligent systems, and IT systems or whatever, and the same slogan was made, you know, abandon people and use intelligent systems and technology. And here we are now going around and coming back to the beginning, really, where we're saying the human factor is the most important element in driving performance. So let's focus on the soft, because if we know how to manage people and knowledge asset, then we have nothing to worry about. Here's another quote from Peter Drucker, who passed away in December, the biggest management guru ever. He said, almost everything today believes that nothing in the economic history has ever moved so fast or has a greater impact than the information revolution. But the industrial revolution moved at least as fast in the same time span and had probably an equal impact, if not a greater one. In other words, we're living in an era where speed is very important and complexity is being thrown at us all the time. But I think what Peter Drucker is saying is that that has been the norm. We are just sort of surprising ourselves how difficult things are. But if we talk to generations of people who had to cope with the Industrial Revolution, they would have probably said the same thing, and so on and so forth. So maybe, in a sense, implicitly, the message here is that we live in an era where change is part of a management competence, and if we evaluate people for leadership jobs now, we really have to make sure that they can absorb change, they can manage change, they can induce change, and they shouldn't just respond to change, because responding to change means you miss out on opportunities, and it means you are a follower rather than a leader. So in this context, if you like, of broad leadership, we need to understand really what makes good leadership. I mean, I think it's a simple question. There's here a leader who has really done very well for British Petroleum, and we're going to have a speaker who's going to talk about the culture in British Petroleum tonight. And John Brown is saying that no enterprise, no institution, perhaps no individual can really succeed without a sense of purpose, a purpose which explains and guides every step. Because people join organizations for the long haul, I mean, I think that some people hop around, but most people seek stability, and they seek basically to build their careers and grow in an organizational context. So if that is true, and we all believe perhaps that it is the case, then what are we there for? What do we believe in? What drives us? What generates our commitment? What is ethical insofar as what we want to achieve is? And how can we be part of, if you like, a momentum of change? How can we be part of a vision that is exciting, that is ambitious, that is stretching, where we can actually with pride talk about the organization, talk about the brand that we have associated with, and so on and so forth. That is really the truth in most cases. So what he's saying is that we need to go back to basics. We need to understand that that's really what drives people, that what gets them to belong, to be part of something exciting. And then, of course, we can talk about results. Then, of course, we can talk about profit and things like that. So insofar as British Petroleum is concerned, he's saying that our purpose, our fundamental objective is to be one of the world's largest and greatest companies, which means that we have to deliver results and we have to do very well, day by day. But also, he's saying, it means that we align all of our activities with what our customers, our stakeholders, the world really needs. And we have to lead the change, and we have to be a force for progress in everything we do. This is a very profound statement for a CEO and a chief executive officer who's done very well for his company. I think it's a pity that he's retiring in July. I think that I've been following what he's done within BP, and it's really exciting. And these are big words. These are words that we can use, if you like, to measure best practice and to look at whether other leaders similar to him are walking the talk. This is what I would like to share with you now. Listening to these statements is good, but how do we make them real? How do we inculcate values in organizations, for example? How do we quantify the value of people subscribing to good values. And this model is interesting. First of all, I will very briefly show you the picture, and then I will show you each stage of development. It's really an interface or a correlation between two things. One is the effort that organizations put in to inculcate values within people's minds, to get them to belong, to get them to commit. And the other one is the net contribution that people make. Study after study after study demonstrate that people are motivated and happy, they perform better than people who are dissatisfied. I think it's logical. People who believe go the extra mile. You know, they are doing it for far beyond for their physical needs and economic needs. They are doing it because they are associated strongly with the brand, with the organization, with the philosophy that they consider. But that extra mile, if you like, is reflected in this model by a variety of states. Some of the states are physical needs, informational needs. Some of them actually become attachment needs or emotional needs, as we will see. And then all the way to perhaps an exaggerated state of spiritual attachment to an organization. So this is called the values progression curve. And as I said, it's really saying that if we wanted to get people to perform well, you know, we need to make sure they belong. The more effort we put in looking after our people, talking to them, responding to their needs, involving them, empowering them, encouraging them, rewarding them, recognizing them, and all of that stuff, the more we can correlate it with how much they contribute to the organization. So the physical needs, which is the very basic, is the contractual agreement. In other words, you know, you pay me a salary, I have a job description, I will fulfill that contractual obligation, and then we will leave it there. It means that I am not attached. It means that I don't belong. It means that I don't have any personal power to change things. And it means that you have decided as an organization to treat me as a transactioner, you know, as a supplier of skills or expertise or whatever it is. That's the very basic level. Some organizations, unfortunately, they still treat their employees as transactioners, and they still evaluate them on job descriptions and that kind of contract. And then the model says there is another state where we actually provide people with other things in addition to the job description. We provide them with information, for example, so they understand their roles, so they are guided into how well they should do and perform, and so that we can measure the outcomes of that performance. And also, because we give information, we also give them the empowerment, the power for them to make decisions and to change things at their disposal. And the third one is really to say, you know, let's make sure that they identify with our organization. You know, they have some kind of control, albeit micro, albeit small, but they have an identification with the organization. The third stage is really, if you like, a departure from the tangible needs, you know, from transaction to information to an attachment. And this is referred to as an emotional level. Here it means, you know, I share with them my dream. You know, I involve them in crafting the mission of the organization, the vision and where we want to go. I try to, if you like, inject some passion within them so that the statements that we write are compelling and exciting for them. And also, I buy in their emotional responses so that they can commit to delivering high levels of performance. Many, many, many organizations do that very well. I mean, I can't think of hand, but if you look at Virgin Atlantic, for example, you know, if you fly Virgin Atlantic, if you look at their crew, whether, you know, it's, you know, when you board the plane or the ground crew that check you in, whatever it is, they are driven by other things. They believe in the brand. They believe in their chairman. They believe in the leadership. And they go the extra mile. They have an emotional attachment to the brand. People who work in creative environment, you know, like Microsoft, for example, even the likes of IBM, you know, we might think, you know, they've gone downhill, but there is still, if you like, generations of people who have emotional attachment. So they belong, they believe. and they perform, and they go the extra mile. There is, after that, something called the glass ceiling. In other words, you have to really, as an organization, do a little bit more than deal with individuals, if you like, on an exchange basis, and create an environment, a wider environment, a philosophy, a mindset, where we stop advocating the management of things and start to advocate the leading of people. And that means a total metamorphosis, a total transformation of the organization, where we become a little bit informal, a little bit chaotic, but a little bit organized in our minds, because we believe in total empowerment. And again, if you look at the case studies that exist out there, many, many organizations that really have, if you like, these clusters of people and you know, these groupings of people working globally through virtuality, through the internet, doing exchanges every day. It's chaotic, but it's organized here. So they have gone beyond the glass ceiling, and they have moved into leading. Project management is the norm. So we don't grow vertically, if you like, through hierarchical structures. We grow people horizontally through involving them into wider, exciting projects and missions, whatever. And that happens. So once we cross that ceiling and we re-engineer organizations to become world-class, then we create an opportunity for getting our employees to even accelerate their emotional attachment to our organization by spiritually making it something bigger than what it is. You know, so the brand of the organization is more important than what we do. We don't talk about that. That's boring. We talk about who we are. So people who work for organizations that are very, very exciting in terms of their brand, in terms of their image, they are people who normally pay a price. You know, they make sacrifices for the organization. You know, the organization recognizes that and makes heroes out of them, and actually, you know, puts them in the pages of history. So what I'm trying to say is that the textbooks after textbook, we have done a lot of research on values and the inculcation of values. But until recent years, I've realized personally that we really don't understand the importance of this. You know, when we do a visioning workshop, for example, we talk about how we can help leadership teams basically revisit their vision and mission statements, and then how they can create a list of values. Create a list of values, that's very interesting. And then refine them and then post them to all the employees or put them on the walls, wherever it is, and the job is done. And then from there, we put the tick and we say, okay, now how can we work on strategy and how can we deploy the goals and the objectives down? And we have forgotten exactly the importance of values. Now we are revisiting, we're saying, no, that's wrong. Values are a driver. Values are not just a subset. They're not just a little bit of cement, you know, that holds together the big bricks. So this is, if you like, a model that is verified scientifically, empirically, and also it fits in very nicely with this logic, the logic of, if you like, performance, which is people-driven. So this model called the Excellence 5 Ups means that if you start with people first, then people who are motivated and committed, they work on improvement, don't they? They work on productivity, they work on speed, they work on right first time. They work on innovative ways of serving the customer. They work on value added. They work on empathy with whoever they're dealing with. They work with the belief that teamwork and synergy are very important. All of these slogans, all of these concepts become easy. So quality becomes the end result. And if quality is there, then the customer is going to be happy. And if the customer is happy, that means they commit more to you for market share and bigger contracts and retention and all of that. And then if that is done, then the thing that will dangle at the end is good results for the organization itself. And, you know, all the hard work that has been done at the bottom is paying off at the top. So that is, if you like, the conceptual logic. But let me just take you through some examples of how, if you like, world-class organizations are very careful with the way they craft their values. And I'm going to go through these very quickly because of time. So General Electric, for example, These are their values that they really monitor daily, if you like. A passion for excellence, being open to ideas, creativity, passion for quality, live quality, involvement, empowerment of people, having a vision which is communicable, if you like, having energy through teamwork, project management, having ambitions through stretch goals, and creating change as a momentum for advancement, if you like, of improvement, and having transferability of best practice, of knowledge, and building, if you like, virtual transactions of that knowledge. Now, these are not poetry statements. These are hard management, measurable, manageable, if you like, promises, commitments. It's like a charter. The values becomes like a charter. So the executives sign up to it. And this is not bound by time. This is actually bound by results. And Jack Welch himself says, well, when he was there, so there isn't a human being in General Electric that wouldn't have the values guide with them in their wallet or in their purse. It means everything, and we live it. And we remove people who don't have those values, even when they post great results. In other words, he's really living that progression model that I shared with you a little bit earlier on. You cannot depend on one dimension. You don't want to have people who are driven by ego. You don't want really to promote the principle of what I call prima donnas, and people just, pushing everybody else aside because they want to shine. They want to be the number one, So you need the values that drive the performance. You don't want really to stifle the sustainable elements, the goodness of an organization, because you're passionate and obsessed and insistent on getting good results being posted. Hewlett-Packard, again, the same thing. We believe that people want to do a good job, and that's what they join the organization for. Given the proper tools and support, we attract high caliber, diverse people and innovative people and recognize their efforts and contributions to the company. So selection at the beginning is going to be very important, isn't it? What kind of talent do you want? Do you want people who are robust and they can withstand work pressure? Do you want people who are self-dependent? Do you want people who are highly innovative? They are all different people, so they're not all the same, depending on the culture of the organization, depending on the work environment. That's the same statement. Nike, for example, they have got three sets of values, three key words. One is competitiveness. That means everything, it's winning or losing. One is inclusiveness, teamwork, is integration of people through participation, through involvement, through project management. And of course, it's measuring performance, which is business related, measuring the action of achievement, rather than measuring people who are maintaining status quo. Intel, the same thing. Every employee participates in 7 seminars during the first year of employment because they want the inculcation to take place properly. Learn about our values, learn about culture, learn about how we behave, how we do things around here. And then live the values with us afterwards. Because how can you be expected to live values if you are left in the dark? I remember in the early 1981, I think, my first job in England, I went for a job interview at the headquarters, and it was nice, and I met a few people. And then when I was offered the job, the production manager took me around, and then he said, by the way, Mohammed, when you clock in next Monday, you come via the back door. And for 18 months, I worked coming via the back door in the shop floor, and I didn't know the rest of the organization. So, when people used to ask me questions, and I used to be very embarrassed because I didn't know the number of people employed. I didn't know many, many things. That was a long time ago, but nonetheless, you can't work in an environment where you're ignorant. It's like living in a family and you don't know your brothers and sisters, so to speak. It's important, and we must really realize that. Monsanto, again, 3 core values, but please look at those words. They are like a charter. You know, when you say customer focus, it's not a simple word. It means re-engineering your processes, your activities, so all the front end are looking and touching the customer. It means that your systems are measuring value and driving value and nothing else. It means that the people have got the competencies to link via the chain, via translating those needs until we deliver satisfaction to the customer, and so on and so forth. Openness to newness and diversity. Again, the very, very big statement, you know. It means that we like change. We like new ideas, you know. We don't feel threatened by them, you know. And we believe that we live in a bigger system. You know, diversity from the point of view of the different peoples, the different cultures that we deal with. You know, we shouldn't be dogmatic. We shouldn't have the blinkers. You know, that's a culture that is growing people, developing people. And environmental responsibility. Again, another statement about the kind of people that we have. You know, if you have people who don't shift the mindset, then you're in trouble. What I want to do now is show you a simple example of something in practice that we've done. Dubai Holding is, if you like, a holding group which was created about 10 years ago, 12 years ago. It has 96 companies underneath it as a portfolio, from telecommunication to real estate, hotel, businesses. They have the Dubai Land, which is like something bigger than Disneyland, which they are building. They have Dubai Healthcare City. They are into all kinds, and of course they have TCOM, Dubai Internet City, Dubai Media City, broadcasting, telecommunication. They have Dubai Knowledge Village. I mean, I don't know the 96 projects because every time I go there, you know, they have grown by another 10 projects. So it's a large group. They have an executive team at the top, basically, who represent the various subsidiaries. And a year ago, they wanted to introduce the principles of excellence, you know, across all the divisions. And they wanted me to do an executive workshop with them, for them to revisit their values, to revisit their mission, and to make sure that they are buying in to the theme of excellence. So I will just describe to you a process that I've used, which was very useful. But before that, this is just a couple of minutes, just a small clip about who Dubai Holding is.